Welcome to Observations, an open conversation about women's health. This is a space where physicians, patients, and other experts can sit down and have honest, evidence-based dialogue that cuts through the media bias and brings clarity back to maternal care and how we can care for both patients, mother and preborn child. With each episode, we will have real stories, real science, but also real questions about women's health today. From clinical insights to lived experiences, to aligned perspectives, and yes, also respectful disagreements. This is our goal, to bridge the gap between physician and patient, to empower informed decision-making, and bring back and elevate compassionate, fact-driven care. Now, a quick note before we dive in. Not every guest on the podcast is going to represent the views or positions of AAPLOG, but we believe that having open and honest conversations are going to make us better. So, grab your coffee, settle in, and let's get into today's observation.
Welcome to Observations. I'm Dr. Susan Bane. I am the host of Observations today. I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist and board member at AAPLOG. So we're coming to you live from the AAPLOG conference in Seattle, Washington, and I am here with Dr. Hector Chapa. He is a fellow board-certified obstetrician and gynecologist who is from the great state of Texas. That's right. Dr. Chapa is a clinical associate professor at Texas A&M College of Medicine and also serves as the OB-GYN clerkship director at his hospital. He's a prolific writer as well as a podcast host, which we'll talk more about later. And he's also served in the leadership of the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, ACOG. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Susan, for having me. This is actually quite an honor for me.
Well, we're excited that you're doing the podcast, and then you're going to be talking also later.
Yes.
So let's start with a fun question.
Okay,
we've both been through med school,
yes.
Third year, fourth year. You got to figure out what you're going to do. How did you decide on OB-GYN?
Yeah, I think this is such an interesting question because some people enter medical school with the idea, dead set, and they don't change. I think that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's a high percentage of that. Just the other day, I had a fourth-year medical student who was going into psychiatry, said I knew from day one in medical school that's what I was going to do, and she's an excellent student, a candidate for residency. I'm sure she'll get in. One mind determined, and she got there. That wasn't for me. So I don't know about your story, but I didn't have a lot of exposure to medicine. I'm the first in the family to go to medical school and be a physician.
Me too.
So I just kind of went through every rotation going, now this is fascinating, knowing that I couldn't, commit to everything. So I just kind of went with it, never thinking that OB-GYN was going to be what I would choose as a career. It just wasn't on my radar. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I thought I was going to do general surgery for the very, very academic reason that I thought it sounded cool. I mean, that was it.
We've all been
what?
there.
I get to open the body, and that's it. I had no real basis for that. It's just I thought that's what you did as a good physician, as a surgeon. Did my OB-GYN rotation, and very quickly noted within about 2 weeks, I was fascinated. And this is a good example, I think, Dr. Bane, of how good community really does influence each one of us. That's why we're here at the conference. So I had, by happenstance or by divine direction, a group of residents and faculty that loved what they were doing. Now, remember, this was at Parkland Hospital. Okay, now,
busy place.
This is what I'm trying to say. I mean, they were like sitting down and having donuts. They were busy.
Yeah.
They were on fire. They loved what they did. They worked hard. For the most part, got along with each other, for the most part. And had a faculty that I remember as a medical student feeling a little awkward at first, like, why is this guy talking to me so much? Like, am I doing something wrong? Why is he pouring into me? Mm. And I hadn't felt like that. I felt cared for. I felt valued beyond the fact that I got to see a delivery. I'd never seen that before. I'm a relatively sheltered, I came from the border of Texas and Mexico, Hispanic family. We didn't talk about those things. So when my resident said, hey, go into that room, Chapa, go in there and push with the patient, my first thing in my naivete was, you want me to push her where? Like, where's she going? And I remember, Susan, they laughed. Like, what? Like, where am I pushing her? Oh my goodness. For those of you who don't know, push the patient is 1, 2, 3, 4, push, of course, during second stage. And I got to see a child being born for the first time.
Yeah.
After my near vagal experience, I remember thinking it took about 2 weeks. Honestly, I'm like, this is fascinating to me because I still got the surgery part.
Yeah.
And I got to see some wonderful, wonderful medicine take place. Remember, very high risk, right? It's a high-risk population at Parkland. All to say, this is why doing this, meeting you, meeting everybody else, coming to a conference, I think there's value because we really can be a reflection, both good and bad, of people we hang out with, yes?
Sure.
So that mentoring in my rotation, they had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I'm very thankful. I now always wonder this, Susan, what if I was with a different team? Mm-hmm. Would it be the same? Mm-hmm. What if my general surgery rotation, again, no offense to Parkland surgery, but I would get a page, dash number 2, because I was number 2. We had 4 residents, 4 medical students. I was 1, 2, 3, 4, and whoever got the number by the text, you go to the OR. That was my personal view. You see what I mean?
I totally see what
So
you mean.
I really do wonder that. All to say, I fell in love with the discipline. It's been 25, going on 26 years from residency, and I love it. I get tired.
Yeah.
I get sleep deprived, but I got to tell you, I still love what I do.
Yeah, I love that story because I think for me, I was passionate about women's health, and particularly my PhD work was in kinesiology, but I was very interested in health-related behavior, and for whatever reason, I was navigating it with women, and so I was naturally drawn to obstetrics and gynecology as a student. I ended up debating between family practice
Sure.
and OB-GYN, but I just fell in love with labor and delivery. There is such beauty and strength in I was fortunate enough to train in a program that was a life-affirming approach where both patients were patients.
A rarity now.
Yes. And what I think we have to come back to recognize that both our patients deserve health care.
Right.
And
Exactly.
excellent health care. And so we're gifted with, I think, the most unique specialty in medicine as OB-GYNs. It's a big responsibility, it's hard work, but I remember that first baby I saw born too. I didn't get asked to do anything but watch, or I might have pushed him out the door too. But I did think, holy cow, this is how, I had not had a baby myself. And so glad you became an OB-GYN.
Me too.
And glad you started
too.
a podcast. So your podcast is Dr. Chapa's OB-GYN Clinical Pearls. So many practicing physicians as well as residents use your podcast to stay up for latest medical evidence and study for boards.
Sure.
So how'd you get the idea to do that and fill that gap, fill that need? Because you got quite a following.
I'm very thankful. This little program, right? So it's been now 11 years.
Has it?
11 years.
Wow.
So it started in 2015 as a way, it started with the conversation. I was still in Dallas at this time. I've always been in direct patient care as well as academic medicine. In 2015, a group of residents I walked into their conversation. They were very frustrated that clinical faculty were telling them one thing, but what they had read either in their, the OB textbook, which again comes from Texas, or from a study, there was a lag. You follow, right? There's a lag in time. Like, well, where is that coming out? Well, I heard it in a conference. Well, it's not even in print yet. So there's this gap between changing evidence, changing practice, and things in print, because the world was moving very quickly. So I asked them, what's going on? They said, it's hard to keep up with stuff. Things change all the time. They tell me something that was outdated. That's very real. So I said, well, what if we could listen to it on the car? You're exercising, you're on the treadmill. Like, well, that's great, as long as it's not boring. Understood. So it started kind of as a pet project with the idea of, please don't send this to anybody. We'll just keep this here, be internal.
Yeah.
But of course, in human nature is what it is. I'm thankful they found some value in it, apparently. They shared it with another program. That program shared. It was all organic. Never used a marketing agency.
Right.
So Susan, this is amazing. This is a value. I want everybody to get this. This is powerful. Your question is actually really deep, because I really think it points to the need and the power of connectivity. because as a way to connect with somebody else that's authentic, I think. I think that's what separates our podcast from others. There's plenty of podcasts out there, especially on women's health. But what others have told me, either in person or by messages that come in, is it seems like we're doing this. When we're listening to the episode on cardiovascular disease in pregnancy, which by the title is boring, but if you got great content and something that you think you can really make an impact, it's the delivery. It's the delivery of that in a way that's authentic, I think, and personable. I think that's what moves the needle. Because more importantly, as I tell my kids all the time, they always say, why are you going to record all the time, or what's going on? You're here for a short amount of time, as am I. And then the older that I get, I realize that with much more clarity.
Correct.
I want to say that in my brief time here, I was a good husband, which I'm still working on. I was a good father, which I'm still working on. I was a good provider in my craft, and I tried to leave the discipline better. That was a goal 11 years ago. I'm very thankful. It's gone from Texas-based to national. We get messages from all across the world. We've got a great following in the UK, not sure why, but we do, from Canada. And the biggest testimony of this, which we shared in our social media channel, of connectivity. This is why come to conferences. This is the reason why things matter. About 2 years ago, I received a message from somebody in Australia. I listened to the show. I got New York ties. I have CME funds from my hospital. This is Australia. Rather than going to a conference, would it be okay if I come out and spend a week with your team in Texas? I use that as my CME. So my first response was, you want to go from Australia to College Station, Texas? Like, I can take you to a game. I mean, it's Texas, and football is king.
Heck yeah.
He came. So, my friend Steve, we've now kept in contact, but he came from halfway across the world, literally, to spend time with us for a week, and we had a blast. And he had two things. Number one, of course, to learn some new things that we're doing for the practice, but the thing that really struck with me, Susan, and to answer your question is why we're doing this, is when he said on the last day, I came really to see if this was real. Because what you are on the podcast, I wanted to see if that was you. Did you get this? It's authentic. And so that stunted me for a while. I'm like, well, do you think I wasn't? Or what does that mean?
Right.
No, I wanted to make sure that it was real. That what you're saying is put into practice. We can talk and I learned that with the kids. It's one thing to say them, it's one thing. It's a better thing to model it.
Right.
And again, I'm still working on that. I'm very thankful for this podcast. I think it really does show that we need to be connected. And especially if something on a professional side, we can have fun with it. We can share great information, and we can connect with others and encourage somebody. I think it is the perfect antidote to burnout and an otherwise diminishing discipline. This is the way to get it back.
So give me an example, cardiovascular disease in pregnancy.
Okay.
How do you make that fun?
So, that's a tough one. And honestly, it's a reflection of, I think it really has to come out both from inside your personality, because, surprise, I can be a little goofy. I think I have fun with things.
Yeah.
And more importantly is sometimes I'm recording by myself. Sometimes I have somebody on the screen who helps me, who's my IT guy, kind of our producer. And he's not medical, right? He's media and IT. But when we split screen and he's obviously on mute, he'll say something and I'll see his gestures when he knows he's playing into me. And I think it's that banter. So I'll give something, the lipoprotein, inflammatory state, or what have you. And meanwhile, so he'll start doing this on the screen.
He's telling you.
Yes, and I'm like, I can see you.
Enough hardcore.
That's correct. Oh, all right, redirect, and it's that banter. Or I'll
yeah.
start complaining, and he'll do the baby violin on the screen. And and I love it.
That's
Though
great.
he's threatened to quit, many, many times over 5 years. It's this whole team. Back to the point, we need to rely on each other. I rely on him to keep it going, to turn that up, to have that right amount of content, but with the right amount of humility, transparency, and honesty, which I think sets ours apart.
So it's really interesting. You've used the word connection more than once. I recently had a granddaughter who was born with, we knew about a very serious heart defect, and I almost didn't make the conference until she fortunately turned the corner after a stent was placed. She's at Duke. And somebody who was just very encouraging to me throughout the whole last 3 weeks. I made this statement on a text. I said, I really hope I get to go because A, I know my granddaughter's better, but B, I need to be around these people.
Amazing.
They're my professional colleagues who just energize me to be able to even just have this conversation and learn from you, but to feel your passion and, you know, what you bring. This whole conference is full of people like that. And so relationships matter, connection matter, and we're fortunate we're in a field where I do think people who are drawn to connection come into our field often because that's what a mom and a baby, that bond between them is such a strong connection. Yeah.
So I can't leave this. One, I'm glad to hear she's doing well. But you're right, and there's something I get accountability and support obviously from my wife. I get them from my kids. That's and that's very valuable.
Right, because I get the same.
Of course,
but
you know where I'm going. It is, Susan, it's different. Yeah. Now, my wife is medical. Now, she's not a physician. She's a clinical therapist. She's a psychologist. I met her as an intern. She was a case manager at that time for Dallas County for the AIDS patients. When it was beyond HIV, right? I mean, it was AIDS, which thankfully we just don't see anymore.
Right.
So she had a very tough job. So I met her in the clinical setting. But there's things that I can't, and she says, are you going, why do you spend time on the phone with the resident all the time? Because when they call me, hey, I had a shoulder, so I need to talk to you about it, though I'm not on service. Those are like my children, and I can relate to them in a different way. So all to say, our personal responsibilities and connections are valuable. There's something on a professional level that my wife, she can't meet. And at the same time, on a professional level, there's things that they can't meet that only my wife can do.
Correct.
But
we need both.
We need both, and that's why these conferences, and this is, with a big life challenge, as you had, and the sacrifice to go to this conference now where we're at, I think that does say a lot. So I'm proud of you for doing that. It's a tough decision.
Yeah. Thank you.
There is value in this sharing the burden, in this value of I'm there for you, because very few can understand what it's like to deliver a stillborn child. Very few can know what it's like to find a very complicated patient who has a successful outcome. And I don't take that for granted. I'm a little biased. I think OB-GYN is the best discipline out there because you get to interact with somebody in a way that you are part of their family cord in a very unique way. I delivered their child. It's think about it, right? Not that, if you had an MI, your cardiologist, intensivist takes care of you, that's phenomenal. That's good. Because of the intimacy of our field, literally, I think that's just remarkable. I found that fascinating. I was very thrown off of this by a medical student, right? I'm like, she's not dressed. It's awkward. Remember, Hispanic, very sheltered community. I'm like, I don't. This is odd.
Yeah.
To go from that to what I'm doing now, I would never have thought. We've all had challenges. We've all had obstacles. I'm very thankful for where I'm at now, knowing that I'm not done. I know I'm not done. But where I'm at so far, I'm very thankful for the opportunities given. This is an opportunity. At deathbed, I don't want to have many regrets, though I'll have some. I don't want to be that I turned my back on a child, turned my back on my craft, turned my back on my family. I don't want those to be part of my regret system.
Love that. Love that. So let's get back to your podcast because it was going along just fine. Everything was good. You had all these followers.
Oh, boy.
And then you did a simple post or made a simple statement and share with the audience the response you got, what you said and the response and how you navigated that.
Connectivity has pros and cons, yes? In today's world, I'm sure it's somewhere on your body or somewhere on our table off camera here. We're all connected. You've got your phone. It's everywhere, as I do with me. As an obstetrician, seeing what was happening in the flavor of our discipline and in the culture, me being an incognito supporter of a child in utero, as an obstetrician, seemed dirty. Now, for a long time, because of the growth of the podcast, and we have a big social media presence, I talked to my production team. We'll just stick with the fun. We'll stick with the evidence. And at some point, we came to the collision of I'm being complacent. There's a term that was said to me years ago through another non-medical society, which was, and you've heard of different flavors of this, all that's needed in the world for evil to abound is for good people to do
nothing.
Yes. Yes. So that hit me. And so I said, I can't do it, man. So much to my resistance from our producer, our social media guys, like, whatever you're going to do, we're going to support you. I talked to my team, my group, and said, here's what's going on. And do you know that 100% said, we're behind you. We value you, the connection, and we'll stand by you. So I posted, to answer your question, something that as an obstetrician seemed pretty straightforward, which was a little clip, no more than 30 seconds, on one of my social media channels with the words, Fetal Lives Matter. Controversial, isn't it, as an obstetrician?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. Now, you would have thought I said every puppy in the country needs to be taken out and brutally killed. It was swift, and the response was brutal, which stunned me. So I had to look at it again, and I showed it to several friends, like, what did I say here? Fetal lives matter. The attack from obstetricians, which is what stunned me, was swift. In about 2 hours, over a period of 2 days, I became misogynistic. I became racist, which is always a nice touch. I became not trustworthy. Enough for several large named podcast channels, platforms to reach out, where our podcast lives, to say, we're getting weird emails to take you off. What is going on? I was devastated, hurt, because the energy that I pour into my field, as I'm currently missing, you're missing things with your family right now. I'm missing my daughter's sports match.
Yeah.
It is. I simply wanted two things: to be respected for the value and acceptance of my value. That is all. It was devastating. From a variety of different things. I want you to know, and as a testimony to the support here, I was shaken. And this was, just about 1 or 2 years ago. I reached out to Dr. Francis, CEO of this organization, and I said, listen, here's what's going on. I don't know if you know my name or not. I have a little podcast. I have to do some stuff on social media. I need to talk to someone. I'm getting killed here.
Yeah.
Now, without having a personal communication relationship with her at that time, I want you to know, she said, look, I'm traveling right now, something's going on. Give me an hour. She called me. Now, I talked to my wife, the therapist, and again, I got support there. I don't want to make it feel like I was thrown out in the wind. I'm by myself. I'm not. I had the support of my group. I had the support of my wife and my family. But for somebody like this to reach out and go, what is happening? This is why I'm here, among other reasons. My point is, we have an opportunity with relatively innocuous and benign and true statements. I believe fetal lives matter, which is why we have maternal fetal medicine.
Yeah, I say that all the time.
It's bizarre.
Not called maternal medicine. It's maternal fetal medicine. It's a subspecialty in our field.
Very bizarre. So I use that as my commitment that if that benign truth, that fetal lives matter, if that was enough to shake the floor, well, let's do it. Let's do it.
So how have you continued to shake the floor since that post?
There's several avenues for that. One is, print commentaries, which I've been very thankful. I've been having an opportunity to do.
You've done a beautiful job. I've read them.
And I appreciate that. Those are not written in haste. There's a lot of thought that goes into that. There's a lot of pacing. There's a lot of angst. I would be honest, and I'm very thankful because people do have reached out who I don't know and said, I read X, Y. Somebody is actually here at this conference who is actually in Texas. Like, I read your article, will you be at this conference? So I hope to see them.
And I will tell you, last night, you weren't here as you were traveling, but our keynote speaker was Dr. Robbie George from Princeton. And I had the pleasure of carrying on a conversation with him as his lecture. But he got asked a question in the Q&A afterwards from a student about how do we have courage in those moments, like you're describing, young in our careers.
Yes.
And his response was, you cannot hide. And I'm grateful, AAPLOG is grateful that you didn't choose to hide. One, you made the post, and two, your response after the post. As much as you were devastated, as you said, and hurt, you didn't go hide. Right. Yeah.
Right, though I tell you.
You probably wanted to.
It was, as an academic physician who prides himself on knowing the data, and we've got to share publications. Susan, I've had great opportunities. Right, for about 5 years, I traveled, went to 14 countries, lecturing on different things. I felt like I lost my best friend died. I felt betrayed.
Yeah.
By
our profession.
By our profession. Horrible thing. I mean, horrible. I had to turn it off. I mean, I had to turn off the notification. It's bizarre. These people don't know me. But to be called horrible things for a benign, something that makes sense as an obstetrician. It'd be one thing if, let's say, I was maybe a vascular surgeon, which is still fine for them to say, but okay, that's odd for a vascular surgeon. This is our field.
Right.
So I ran with it. So I'm running with it. I'm still running with it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, while people who hold our podcast as a platform were shaken, I want you to know that the people from the U.S., from abroad, who have said, hey, we understand, we're in the shadows. We're here. So what they tried to do to cancel that, consider that's our little professional baby. That's my podcast is another child, professional child. What they tried to kill, I want you to know that through that pain, as a nice analogy of childbirth, through those discomforts, through the I'm out, I'm done, just be done, as women say in labor, that podcast has more than doubled.
Wow.
It has gone up in its list. Now, I don't recommend taking the pain to do that because it's painful.
Yeah.
And it wasn't done for that, but the fact that it has grown when they tried to kill it means that something here is happening.
Yeah.
This is real. So I want you all to know something is happening from a community standpoint because it is stronger now than it ever was when I was incognito.
Yeah. Yeah, Dr. George, actually, last night, I had said that Donna Harrison, our former CEO, makes this statement all the time that courage is contagious. And he said, I completely agree, but so is cowardice.
Wow.
Cowardice is contagious too. And so, and he spoke so much, you've actually alluded to this with your residents, how this generation has to model that courage for the next. We just can't talk about it. We have to model it, which you've chosen to do. And one of the things I think that was probably most challenging, and I'd love for you to speak more on it, is you, like me, for years and years were a member of ACOG, the American College of OB-GYN, so much so that you became a board member. What role did ACOG, why did you join it originally?
Right.
And then over the years, as your involvement grew, talk to me a little bit about what evolved for you that led to where you are today.
Before I joined the board itself, I had been part of ACOG on the national level for some time. I'd been part of the Obstetrical Care Consensus Committee, obstetrical, kind of best practice. And I love that. I joined that specific section of the college because I'm an evidence guy. That's what I do. I mean, I love that. I love to be on the forefront of what's new and changing, knowing, of course, that print media sometimes lags behind, which is the whole purpose of what we're doing now and the podcast.
Right.
So I joined because of the science part. So I said, let's elevate this. So let's go now to a true leadership position, not just in my state, but from a national level. So I became fellow at large. And again, that was an opportunity, a door. I said, I'm going to do something here. The phrase in non-medical circles is, everybody wants the sausage and you don't want to know how the sausage is made.
Right.
Yes?
I've heard that one.
Okay. That's a statement in truth. Because I joined the board going, wow, we're going to talk about policy, we're going to talk about best practice, we're going to make guidance, which they do. And I have to be very clear, I've got great mentors, great friends. ACOG has a big presence in Texas. AAPLOG with
right.
with AAPLOG.
Our board
Of
certifying.
course, the board certifying body.
Yeah.
And so I have no beef with individual people. I have no qualms with them. I want them to live their best them. My issue with this is a culture that was very unilateral. And as a director of the American College, which is not just American, right, it's international, I quickly found out that some views, my views, were not welcome. They weren't respected. It just wasn't happening.
What did that look like when you say your views weren't
Well,
welcome?
of course, we met in person, and I went up to, some things are under non-disclosure, but one of the things where I was at a virtual conference, virtual meeting of the board of directors, and I had to exit, I had to close it. Because one of the breakouts that I am doing shortly after we complete this discussion is medicine should be above politics. Medicine on the books, every charter of every professional medical society, as it is for the American College of Emergency Medicine, as is ours, is that it is an apolitical group. Mm-hmm. What I quickly found out is that is not the case. Now, it's good to have a political affiliation. You have one, I have one, everybody in the room has one, I am sure. The issue is that if we're going to play that game, then everybody should be of equal value. I quickly found out that it was not. And I just couldn't do it anymore. Mm-hmm. When things were said against my own state, and members, my friends, community, meaning OB-GYN, Texas OB-GYNs, that were blatantly incorrect and stereotypical, we can go down the list. I felt, what is happening here? This felt, I had left the professional meeting and I had entered high school politics. Mm-hmm. Are you with me?
Yeah.
I found this very shocking. Mm-hmm. All to say is I would have been much better not knowing, in this case, how the sausage was made. It's an eye-opener. I'm glad I did it. I think everybody should be involved in professional societies. I think that's how you grow. I decided that me withdrawing, which I was very public about, I could do more with that action than staying in and trying to change the boat's direction with a small paddle when the motors are clearly going the opposite direction.
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up our conversation and you think about that statement you just said of doing more by leaving, what's your more looking like these days, or what do you hope it looks like in the future coming days?
We're seeing it right now.
Okay.
It's this. It's not hiding, which I've never been good at, because I'm very vocal. The residents know I have a congenital absence, Susan, of the filter which goes from the cerebrum to the tongue, all right? I've never been shy about that. I do believe that phrase you said of courage is contagious, that's pretty powerful. Mm-hmm. But so is cowardice. I'm going to have to post that just so you know. It's good.
It's Dr. George's.
Oh, well, I'm going to use it.
So use his, give him the credit.
That's incredible. And I really think courage is actually much more contagious because it's easy to do nothing. It's hard to do something.
Yes.
I get hits still, just so you know. I get the occasional, once a week. You should be, non-certified. You should be non-board certified.
Right.
Your hospital should fire you. It's okay. I believe I do good care. But to be fired for my stance as an obstetrician, that babies matter is odd to me. I just don't understand it.
Right.
It's the most bizarre thing. This is why I will take the blows, I will take the arrows, because at some point, the tide has to change.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, in a very calculated way, the concept of our patient's, a second patient, the fetal patient's life doesn't matter, has happened, and it's crept in to try to be normalized in medicine. And I think that's one of the beauties of a life-affirming approach, a strength of the life-affirming approach, is we truly see the value of both our patients. So
Right.
thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us today, for being at the conference, and look forward. I think, do you have 2 talks today?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought so, yeah. So thank you. And to your daughter, you're missing her, what type of sport is she
My
playing?
little 115-pound, 15-year-old is a state qualifier and state champ for wrestling.
Oh, that is
Oh,
fabulous.
she can take you out. I'm telling you, we did that for self-defense. She's a strong girl.
Awesome, awesome. Well, to let her know, Dad will be back for future matches.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Observations and that it broadened your perspective on women's health and how we can care for both patients, mother, and preborn child. If you like this episode, make sure to give us a 5-star review where you can find your podcasts. Make sure that you like this on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for more episodes coming up. And if you have any suggestions on any topics that we should cover or guests that we should have on, make sure that you email us at media@applog.org. Again, thank you for joining us for today's observation, and we'll see you in our next episode.